From that election and even spill over that we're getting from Kogi. You have seen what is happening and what's trending on our website and in the news space. Who's the running mate, who's the deputy governor-elect, and who's not going to be available for that particular one. Joining us to look at the matters from Kogi election and Bayelsa election this morning is Chukwuma Ezeala. He's a legal practitioner. Good morning and thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you.
So many legal matters and legal talking points there, and even a bit of political gist concerning these two matters. First, let's start with a big one making the rounds now, Bayelsa election. Everyone had thought that what we saw in Kogi State, talking about an inconclusive election, wouldn't be what we'll be seeing in Bayelsa election. Take us through, since you've been following the news space concerning matters about Bayelsa election. What are those sore points, starting off with, that you think has led us to this particular moment?
I think it's an issue of security. Before the elections, the people that were tracking security issues warned of areas where the security agencies should concentrate on. But either because there was no will or because of incompetence, you know, the warnings were not taken serious. They looked at it from high point areas, medium point, and low point areas. And we had thoughts like a place like that, Southern Ijaw, there would have been massive military and police. People say military should not be around. But if you have people that are using, you know, ammunition beyond AK-47, why would you say policemen will be there alone? It means that that place should be militarized to guarantee that people comes out to vote, to also guarantee that the ballot boxes are not missing, are not hijacked. So I think we should, at this time, pay more attention to some of these early warnings, to some of the fears around areas, so as to guarantee that the popular person wins an election in a particular area.
Let me bring in this perspective. Don't forget that when they had their debate, there was this debate organized in Bayelsa State, and the key political parties there, they all came together. Even the APC and the PDP, they all came together to sign what they call a peace pact, just the type we saw with President Goodluck Jonathan, President Muhammadu Buhari leading up to the 2015 elections. So everyone thought that they were all committed to peace. They hugged, they were happy, and they said it was going to be peaceful. So how does that, you know, translate or reflect into what we're seeing now, vis-a-vis what transpired between President Goodluck Jonathan and President Muhammadu Buhari and other contestants for the 2015 presidential election?
You know, when you look at the characters, President Buhari, you would say, not a violent man. Former President Jonathan, you would also say he maintained that the blood of one person was not worth his ambition. So their body languages may not necessarily be go and kill. Now, but when you go to Bayelsa, what products do you have? Whether Silver or Dixon. These are people, they may be writing, and at the same time, they have people who are heavily armed behind them, who they may not even control.
But they've both come up to deny ownership of such group.
Yes, those groups belong to me. I sent them. They would deny ownership, you know, but they were supporting them.
But is it possible that they did not even know about the existence of those groups? Is it possible?
How would they not know?
No, but is it possible? Is there a possibility?
The only thing I think that may be a possibility is that they did not send them directly, or that they did not send them. But if they give instructions, make sure we win this area, it is also an indirect way of sending. It's possible they did not say, oh, go and kill and maim, go and destroy people. But remember, they have campaign managers, they have people, they have responsibilities. And that is why I think the security agencies, if they were able to pick some of them with guns, we know who sent them.
You know, someone asked a question, made a statement.
Or who paid them, because they would have been paid.
Someone made a statement, says, values and order are more of a problem in Africa than leadership. Now, I'm just remembering that, tying it to a question I want to ask. How is it that we keep having this youth or groups that want to go out there and cause violence just so that one party or one individual will win an election? are they not thinking of themselves? Or is it how they are thinking of themselves?
No, I think it's all about a failed system. Yes, why I say it's all about, because most times you see that it's brilliant people that can plan and then get others to help to execute. And those brilliant people ordinarily would have had something doing by way of employment, and they won't have time for those areas. And that is why we said there is a complete breakdown of order in the system. No employment, no system working, and that is why we said we should go back to the basis. And when we go back to the basis, it's easier to pick up the brilliant people, appoint them into positions so that they can use their brain. Because look, the greatest oil well in the world is from here up. It is the brain. And when you allow some of these brilliant brains to waste, they go into criminality. And when they go into criminality, it becomes difficult for you to track them. It becomes difficult for you to bring them back. So they should identify some of it, not just being graduates, but there are brilliant people that are out there who could be used for the purposes of technology advancement, who could be used for other areas, but they are there.
Yeah, you raised the issue of security. We are aware that at least 9,000 policemen were deployed for the Bayelsa election. And they also had the joint task force, other of these security agencies. When you say they did not respond to the reports of a possible flashpoints, risk areas, and all of that, are you suggesting a lack of adequate strategy or complicity on the part of the security agencies, perhaps working in hand with some of these unscrupulous elements to disrupt the elections?
One thing I know about our security agencies is that they don't work in coordination. We've been involved in trying to work with them from time to time, but you see the police doing their own. You see the civil defense on their own. You see the military on their own. But if they have, you see the SSS on their own. But if they have coordination, it means that the information from the SSS can be used by the military. And you could actually mop up the arms around. And apart from mopping up the arms, on the day of the election, if you or if the military, all of them are there, in strategic places, nobody will come out with arms. If, for instance, you have some of the polling stations or polling booths in those areas, in those top areas, and you have 3-4 military, 1 or 2 military people at the background, not necessarily inside because they're not allowed to be, and you have 2 or 3 armed policemen around, you see that there won't be much problem. Nobody will be around to snatch the ballot boxes, because from there you can count the results. But when you are counting results, you see about 10 or 15 men brandishing guns, and nobody can challenge them. You have 3 or 4 policemen there. Maybe one with gun. What would the person do? The person will be incapacitated. But if you now know this is what it is, and if the need be, which I think would not be if they had done their work before that day, if the need be, you move the battalion to that place. But let there be elections, so that tomorrow, others will not continue from that angle. Other areas will know that, look, if you've been identified to be a problem, or if your area has been identified to be a problem, that they will match force for force. But when you allow it, the next group will regroup, the next group will recruit, and they will just continue.
It's really sad that this is happening again and again. Recall how, every time we have an election, we've always gone back to see how we can have a clear assessment of what went down and what went wrong in this particular election. Apart from the security matters you've just pointed out, which we'll also come back to, what's the role, or how would you have assessed the role of the electoral umpire in the conduct of this particular election in Bayelsa?
I don't think that the electoral umpire has improved from what it was during the April elections. Perhaps because the chair just took over. But I think moving forward, the electoral umpire should now think, because I've always said, if you don't know where you are today, you cannot plan for where you will be tomorrow. Now, because I don't understand why we will be talking about card readers working or not working in a state election, when ordinarily they should have brought other card readers, they had the information about this election, they planned for this election, they would have thought of what type of technology, what do we do, especially going by the mistakes they made at Kogi, in Kogi. So ordinarily, I thought that 1 week would have been enough for them to say, look, we don't want this repeat. Why is it that some fingerprints cannot be read? What are really the basic problems? And let us understand what the basic problem. Let's understand the anticipations that we should have. Let's know what are we expecting from them, you know. And then Kogi seemed, even when you look, although when you take also the terrain of Bayelsa, you may not necessarily blame them in terms of not starting early, you know. Kogi, yes, in many areas they started a bit early, you know, but what's mad the system in Kogi and Bayelsa became the card readers.